Hi and welcome back to today's video where I will be showing you how to make this beautiful ruched green drawstring turtleneck. So if you're interested, keep on watching. And today's inspiration again came from Instagram, this time being from Carlson, who is a style queen. And she was wearing an orange version of the top I crafted from a brand called Introduction. And Introduction has great designs, and it seems like they're a newer company, or maybe I just didn't know about them. But as of filming this video, I'm pretty sure that almost every size of the top that I originally saw is sold out. So even bigger motivation. If you want to have this top and have it in your size before they restock it, you could definitely use this video. For this pattern, I started by tracing my basic bodice block, and here I'm taking the front and I'm just tracing it on a fresh piece of pattern paper. Keep in mind that these don't have the seam allowance added, so the final patterns do have a 1 centimeter seam allowance all around. But here I'm tracing it because later you will see, to get the ruched design for the drawstring in the front, that I'm going to have to slash and spread this piece. For my pattern, I only traced up to the half point of where my waist dips in so that it could be a crop pattern to copy exactly what that shirt looks like. But if you were wanting to make yours longer, just trace the entirety of the pattern. And as you can see for the original, the front is actually 2 panels with a 1-inch extension for the drawstring to be able to pull through to gather the shirt. Here we go with the slash and spread portion of the video. So as you can see here, I'm taking my curved ruler and I'm just marking the ruler width up lines on the front pattern that I had already traced off of my block, and I'm slashing it open with scissors, and I will grab a fresh piece of pattern paper so that we can tape this slashed pattern on and spread it. We are spreading our pattern piece so that when the top is eventually ruched by the drawstring, it won't change the size that we originally planned it to be. If you don't do this step, unless you make your top longer, it will get shorter and it might be too short for your liking. So here I am spreading the pattern piece 3 centimeters through each incision. The only thing that I ended up changing from this clip is I ended up closing the incision near the armhole because I was afraid it was going to distort how the sleeve would fit. And the more incisions you make, or the more centimeters you put in between the little incisions, it means that it will have more fabric. So it will have a more ruched effect. As you can see, the pattern changed significantly from the back pattern opposed to the front pattern, having this almost curved effect. But once it's gathered in the front, it'll look completely normal, just like the photo. I made no changes to my stretch sleeve pattern. I used a folded piece of paper and traced the neckline to get this turtleneck pattern. And you're going to want 2 if you're making a regular turtleneck. Here we're going to sew 1 inch from the center front of our top front piece to create the beginning of what is going to be our drawstring channel. And I'm just using a stretch stitch with a microtex needle and my knit foot. And I sewed 1 centimeter above the edge to be able to hem this piece easier for the next step. Here I'm folding up the 1 centimeter that we left alone so that we can have a clean edge on both the body of it and the little channel that we made. So if that helps you to break it up into sewing like I did, then go ahead. Here you can see me poorly trying to show you guys the little buttonholes that I made before sewing down to actually create and close off the channel from the body of the top. But I made those so that I can loop the drawstring once it's done through that, so that it doesn't affect the turtleneck that we have going on. And if you notice that little slit in the back piece of our top, it's actually a way that I thought of to get in and out of the turtleneck easier without like squishing my head through the tiny little turtleneck hole. But I'm basically just taking a scrap and top stitching around where that little snip is, and then cutting into the scrap that I sewed on and flipping it outwards and stitching it on again by top stitching it, so that it creates a clean edge on the outside. That's also why, if you notice, my turtleneck has like 3 pieces. It's basically the same pattern as earlier. I just cut it in half and added 1 centimeter from where the middle cut was made, so that it would be clean on all sides of it, and it closes off with a button that you guys will see later on. Now we're going to be sewing the back piece to the front piece, and we're just going to be using the same stretch stitch along the edges and the shoulder pieces to connect them. And here I am taking a big bobby pin and looping it through the channel with the drawstring, and this is a preview of what the drawstring looks like. But I tried actually using my loop turner to do this, but rude. That was a dog barking, in case you didn't notice. So I tried using my loop turner to do this, and it turned out being easier with a big bobby pin. And here I am just sewing up the edges of the drawstring with a stretch stitch, and I tried showing you guys how to make like a continuous one piece of drawstring. Just attach them and sew one continuous seam up your long tube, and you're golden. And after, you just flip it inside out, and here it is, almost completed. And I did cut off a little piece for the loop for the button that I'm going to have in the back of the turtleneck, but that's for later. And here I am trying to loop it through with my loop turner, and it's getting caught because of the little pointy bit. It's getting caught on the stretch fabric and then stretching, which was very not helpful, which is why I resorted to using a bobby pin. And I just stabbed it through the end of the little tube and pulled it through the little buttonholes we made, and then put it through the other buttonhole at the top and looped it through the rest of the tunnel and onto the turtleneck. So I just sewed up the 2 sides. If you didn't make a little slit in the back, you'll just have 2 pieces, in which case after you're done sewing them up, you flip them over and you can attach it. But I have 3 pieces, and I'm sewing them up on the sides first before I continue. And here comes in the scrap piece, which I just sewed into a little loop, and I'm attaching at the end, sandwiching inside my turtleneck to sew it down for the buttonhole. Which is now funny because I made this little buttonhole because I didn't know how to use my buttonhole foot, which I finally learned. So yeah, I mean, this buttonhole came in a lot of handy when you don't know how to use a button foot properly, but you could use a regular buttonhole too. I think this came out really nice, and it has stretch for the neck, so I'm not like choking in this top. And I also basted the bottom of the turtleneck piece, so it'd be easier to sew on as just one layer. And here comes attaching our turtleneck to our top. And because mine is different, yours may be different attaching it, but you would basically just flip it over so the raw edge is touching the raw edge of the neckline and sew it together. And now onto the sleeves. I'm just turning up 1 centimeter for the hem and sewing it with the same settings. Once I'm finished that, I'm just sewing up the other side of the sleeve to prepare to attach it to the rest of the top. And unfortunately, I don't know what happened to the little transition bit that I had for this, but here I am just sewing the sleeve head inside of the little armhole for the rest of the top, and I'm sewing it together. Same settings, and I'm just going really slow so that I make sure to catch every part of the sleeve. And here is the top all done. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you guys give this a try. My Instagram will be left down below in case you guys want to follow me for a heads up of other videos and other photos that I post. Thank you so much for watching, and if you'd like to see me again, feel free to subscribe and comment below. Bye!